Hey guys, how's it going? It's Daniel from DashClicks. Now in today's training, I want to show you the most efficient way to match your InstaSite web copy to your client. Now before I kind of jump into what's worked and proved that it worked for me, I want to make sure that you kind of understand 2 points before we jump into it. You might know some of this stuff, but I just want to make sure that it's just in this video because for anyone else who is watching this, it's just good information to know. So the first step is you're using InstaSites and you're selling them as done-for-you templates, right? So something like, hey, I made this website for you. I already put your info in. It's done. You have access to control and edit it, all that sort of thing. So you're just selling it as a done-for-you website. Maybe you're doing it for a couple $100 or whatever the price is that you're doing it for. But the responsibility is going to lie on the client to do all the editing and whatever they want done to the site. I mean, you might offer a quick little, let me just make sure all the info is right and your phone number is correct and that sort of thing. Let me just add your logo or connect your domain. Fine. But you're not really diving in as a website designer for them. Okay, there's that scenario. And the second scenario is you're actually going to them and you're selling your website design services to create a new website for them. And you're starting that by using an InstaSite as your starting point. Because if you know, DashClicks InstaSites, if you punch, it'll take a company's info and inject it into a templated website with all the website copy, everything, and it just has all that company specific info in the site now. So that's a great way to start off web design for a client that you have. And then you go through and you can start designing specific copy, and we'll talk about that in just one sec. Now, the middle point is something I highly recommend you avoid, which is kind of a combination between scenario 1, you're selling the InstaSite templates, and scenario 2, you're really selling more of a web design service. And in between is kind of a mold between them, which I'd recommend avoiding because you'll spend way more time editing a site and you'll make a lot less money depending on where you've set things up. And what that looks like is, so I built this site for you. It's a couple $100. Join in. You can do all the edits, you can change things, and I'm going to be your web designer. So if you need help with anything, just let me know. Then it's going to be request after request after request, and could you just redesign this? Could you add that? It's kind of a smorgasbord of just requests from clients. So try avoiding that, and either you do done for you, you're responsible template, or we'll design and be a web designer for you, okay? And avoid the kind of a mesh between. With that said, let's now jump into the most efficient way to match your website InstaSite copy to your clients. Let's just pick any of these. Doesn't really matter. Let's just do assisted living. Let's start there. This applies to all of them, so it doesn't matter too much. Okay, so the only difference between most clients you'll deal with is not so much what's being said, honestly, especially if you're dealing with like smaller companies. It's really going to be like a service thing. They're really going to say, well, we just don't offer these services. So you might have to go in and make those edits and changes. And then maybe to reflect that, you just have to go through the site and make sure that that is not stated in any copy anywhere. It's kind of a first level service point or edit point, let's say. Okay, so it might be they don't offer certain services. They do offer services that aren't on the website, so we have to add that. But the best way to do it is, first of all, 25% is already done for you because most of this copy already created by us, and then all the info that's injected with the business stuff, majority of the time, in my experience, they've always been happy with the web copy. Now, if you want to offer a service to build your own web copy, their own web copy for them, then this is where it gets really in depth because this is something that you'll only be able to write good web copy for a client that's super specific to them, that caters to every need and requirement they have, is by getting as much information from you as you can. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little checklist kind of things I usually ask from clients to do their website copy if I'm actually creating it myself. I'll add that in the description below, so that you can have that. But what I did was I created a Google Sheet and I had questions. I can't remember, maybe 7 to 14 questions or something like that. And they were things like, how many staff do you have? What do you charge for services? What kind of services do you offer? What's your most popular services? What areas do you focus on? What does your client look like? I mean, all this stuff. It sounds a little overkill, but I'm telling you, if you know that info, it's going to be way easier creating copy because you know what ammunition you have to use about that company. Even like tone of voice. Are you guys funnier? Are you guys more informative? Are you very professional and formal? You don't use any type of humor at all? Where does this company stand? What kind of environment? Customers experience? Do you have good reviews? Do you not have good reviews? Again, this sounds overkill, but what will happen is if you don't have enough information, you're either going to be calling the client a lot, just kind of as needed when you get stuck writing copy, or you're going to sit in front of the screen at the top of the page and go quality care, quality living, and go, what should I put here? If you had enough information about like their benefits or the uniqueness of this company, you would know like, maybe they have, maybe a cool fact is they did a survey and they found like their residents rank top, some of their residents are the most happiest people in the United States who live in living centers. Unique fact, really cool. Maybe we find that their dream customer care about their grandparents or parents being happy in a facility. So we're going to adjust our copy to that, knowing that this quality living center has higher, happier old people, right? So now we have ammunition to put into our copy, and that is only from the more we know about the companies. So things to know, again, are stuff like, information about who their dream customer is. Are they primarily the elderly, or is it primarily the elderly's children, grandchildren? What does that look like? Know as much as you can about that. Their services, their most popular services, how many people on staff, what areas do they service. I mean, as much as you can. Again, in the comments, I'm going to add, or in the description, I'm going to add points that you can use, and you can create a Google sheet and send this to them. And then you can go through and create all the copy, or use your InstaSite copy as a framework and then just kind of inject more of their specifics into it. And then by the time you go back to them in first interaction for like a review, you should have already gotten to the point where like, this is pretty on point. This is exactly what we're thinking of because you've gotten all the information you need. All right, guys, hope you found this helpful. Check out the description with some more information, and I'll see you guys in the next training video. See ya.